Telecommuting has become a full-blown movement that appears to be here to stay. The many pitfalls and how to tackle them for both workers and organizations on today's show. I'm Lisa Ellen Smith, and this is Focus on Business. Sarah, energy is not really on the minds of every single small business owner out there, and yet the Small Business Association of Michigan has created a very innovative partnership with the largest utilities in the state of Michigan. I think we should know more about this.
Absolutely. We have been working with Consumers Energy and DTE Energy since 2017, and it really is an innovative partnership because we want small business owners to have access to resources that they might not even realize are available to them. So with this partnership, we're able to reach out to small business owners and help them with things such as a rate analysis, so kind of a simple, take a look at my bill and let me know if I'm paying the right rate, to a larger project that might involve an energy efficiency assessment, an audit. We've had members replace lighting, we've had members replace HVAC systems. So we're able to walk into a business, talk to the owner, and really guide them from A to Z on everything related to energy efficiency and energy options, really.
So as a total package here, what kind of monies have you saved small businesses across the state?
Well, at the time of this interview, we have saved our members just shy of $600,000, and that includes energy rebates, energy incentives, and just general savings that our members will expect to see. So we're really excited about the trajectory of this program. Our members love it. It really is kind of like a concierge level service. So you don't have to deal with the utilities on your own. You can just call us and we'll help you walk through the whole process.
And this is from the top of the UP to the bottom of the state.
Yes, we partner with Consumers and DTE, but we work with everybody.
Great, thank you so much. Hello and a big welcome to Jeff Detloff, CEO, and Tree Kent from Providence Consulting. Today we're talking about the pitfalls of remote workers, the challenges and solutions to keep remote workers happy, which many people today are remote, and we just got to continue to figure this out. Let's set this stage though first. Jeff, you're a regular contributor to the show. Not nearly often enough a guest, but why don't you just tell us a little bit about Providence?
Providence is a managed service provider, technology, outsourced technology. We do everything from A to Z with helping small businesses get their tech working and keep it working. And also a huge focus on the cybersecurity threat and mitigating risks for business.
Great, thanks. Thanks for coming and taking the time. Tree, let's start the first question with you. There are some major pitfalls that workers are experiencing with this work from home. Let's talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, workers, have now been working from home for a few months now, and some pitfalls either experienced early on or they're starting to experience now that they've been doing it longer. And they're shared challenges that we all face. It's loss of productivity because it's hard to balance your home and your work while you either have family around or easily distracted with laundry or dishes. There's loneliness or a feeling of disconnect with your fellow coworkers, or maybe a disconnect with your organization and projects that you're working on. Missing teammates, the socialization. For a lot of people, especially parents, it was their chance to get out and socialize during the workday. So missing that is definitely a challenge. And then Zoom fatigue or Teams or GoToMeeting, any virtual meeting fatigue, as talked about. A lot of people have been going from one meeting to the next, and it's hard to balance the meetings with doing the actual work. And it can get tiring being in front of, as we talked, like a box all day long and staring at your computer screen. So there's definitely some challenges just in the working. And then it's the challenges of your home space. If you don't have a comfortable home setup, if you don't have a good camera or audio, those can be some technical challenges based on your home equipment. And distractions are challenging as well. Distractions that we're not used to, such as letting dogs out, helping kids, a spouse or significant other, things like that. So there's definitely some challenges now that either they've been experiencing being remote over time, they've come up, or kind of people are working through right now.
That is so interesting. As you're talking about the list of pitfalls, every single one of them has affected me and my team in some way. Every single one. I still in my garage have the box for my new office chair.
Yeah.
We had to buy a camera for our web developer. I mean, there's just every single one of them. It's fascinating to me. So you're not alone out there, right? The workers.
Not alone. We are all in this boat together. That's for sure.
And that Zoom fatigue is absolutely real. I think there's going to be a whole industry that pops up around work from home fatigue, most certainly.
Yes.
So, but let's before we get too far into the show, it's not just workers who are finding pitfalls. There's also there's organizational pitfalls to this working remotely. Jack, can you address that with us?
Yeah, Lisa, so you're a great example because you see both sides of it. You're working from home and you're also managing people that work from home. And in a lot of organizations that were the traditional, they're in the office all the time, managers, manage the old-fashioned way. And I think about this as like a big factory, and you see it in the movies where the factory workers are out there doing their production, and there's the manager up at the second floor with the big window looking out and watching over, and they're managing. They're looking at the productivity, and in an office environment, managers are doing that too. They're managing by walking around, and there's books about how to do this type of stuff. Well, we don't do it anymore. So a lot of the management style has to change. People don't have the skills to manage at a distance. How do you know that we're actually doing what they do? How do we know that the company as a whole is doing what it's supposed to do? I mean, there's sometimes just that people are seeing others in the office collaborating together, and they get a sense that things are good or things are bad. They see somebody's mood. You don't see any of that stuff when you're remotely. So that's a huge challenge.
I have to chime in here. Remember the 5-minute manager where you put your hand on someone's shoulder as you're talking to them for a positive reinforcement? I think that's pretty much out the door at this point. But thank you.
Exactly.
I had to remind us of that long time ago book.
Yeah. So also, digital tools are important, but digital tools aren't the only thing. So if management isn't providing the right tools, or management saying, hey, here's the tools, how come people aren't using them, or they're not using them right? Both of those things are pitfalls. Hiccups with technology, constant recurring hiccups with technology is a challenge. Not setting proper expectations for workers is a challenge. Not controlling the dynamics of meetings. As leaders, culture is hugely important, and we need to set the culture and manage to a culture, and that's not as easy to do from a distance. So all of these organizational challenges then help contribute to the employees who then get challenged, and it's not a good situation. But it's where we're at today, and so finding or identifying the pitfalls is half the challenge, half the battle, I guess. Knowing that they're out there, and now we can take steps to avoid them or to work around them.
I feel like we need to take both of these lists of pitfalls and put them online somewhere, because again, every single thing that you talked about, oh yes, that's, yes, sure. But I have to say, just from our experience, I'm sure that culture is considered here. Culture also, I think, plays into that loneliness. So as a company, you may have a problem. So these two things are very interdependent, is what I'm saying, I guess. Our particular team, we had always, 15 years ago, I would read the paper around the lunch table. And whoever had lunch and brought lunch, brought their lunch to the table, I would always say, "Hey, do you want to do the Isaac quiz out of the paper?" And so we would do the Isaac quiz, and how many did we get right? How many did we get wrong? And people just knew we would do the Isaac quiz at lunchtime. So when we went to remote, one of our employees started putting a Zoom link out every week for getting together to do the Isaac quiz at lunchtime. And we have not missed one day. We now also do the New York Times mini crossword puzzle together. So in about 20 minutes, we do a couple of things, and then we actually used that as a kind of a tool as we were filming something, and one of our clients hopped in on it. Now we have clients who are coming in on it. It's just been a way to laugh together and make fun of each other and not work for 15 or 20 minutes every day together, digitally, virtually. So I think that's, something that, think about, how do you create that space where you're not working digitally, but you're together, right?
Yeah, I think that's management's responsibility to come up with some ways to do that. And we used to meet twice a week, just as a group. We meet now every day as a group on Zoom in the morning for a 45-minute meeting, and then again at the end of the day, just to give everybody a chance to say, "How'd your day go?" And sign off, and basically go home as at the end of the day. And it really is effective at keeping people connected.
Yeah, and that would have been a very office-y kind of thing to do. We all kind of gather as we're getting our coats and stuff on at the end of the day.
Exactly.
One of the things that I absolutely am clear about now is at 5:01, if you want to invite me to something online, I don't want to go. I'm calling this Zoom fatigue or meeting fatigue or screen, I don't know, something. Is that a real thing?
Zoom fatigue is a real thing. There is science behind it. In fact, Microsoft Teams has even been doing psychology studies on how to get people to not feel so fatigued and not stare at a screen and feel more like it's a team group environment. And, I think that's what we're going to see with a lot of platforms going forward with GoToMeeting and stuff, is they're understanding very, very quickly this fatigue is real, and how do we kind of bridge that gap of letting people feel like I'm just staring at a TV. And it takes, a personal piece out of it, where if you're not in front of a person physically, that it's hard to remember that they're a real colleague, or, you're a manager and this person has real feelings and you're not just talking to someone through a screen. So it's interesting stuff that's coming down the line for helping with that, but it is a real thing. And I think that part of breaking that up, that companies have to embrace now more with worker pitfalls, is what Jeff was talking about as well, having some virtual happy hours, having fun virtual scavenger hunts of people's homes and offices, things like that, trying to break it up where it's not a mundane meeting, having a true organized presentation and keeping it short. That's the other thing to kind of combat Zoom and team fatigue, is you can drone on and let everyone have a turn and speak, but let your staff get through it and then keep moving on. That's part of helping combat that as well.
Yeah, some of
Yeah.
the fatigue is related to the way that your eyes are constantly looking around the screen,
Mm-hmm.
and what do I look like in front of this camera? And people are always looking at me, and so I can't do certain things maybe that I would normally do otherwise. Does my hair look okay? Is my face shining? And those types of things. The stress of that. Microsoft did studies on this before COVID, and was already working on some solutions to it. And the bottom line is, people find remote collaboration more stressful. The second thing that they're going to find now is this: people are working remotely, but they're also going back to the office. Sometimes they're going in for a day or two. Sometimes they're back in, but their colleagues are not back in. Now we've got that as a situation where, how do you get things done when people are half here and half not here, and it's not the same, and it's not just going to, boom, we're back in it. If it had been maybe for a week, we would just be back to the way we were, and it's not. So, and from looking further down the road as COVID unfolds, there's so much uncertainty even now. And large organizations out on the West Coast are saying, workers, just you continue to work from home for the foreseeable future. Who knows how long? But and I think we're taking that same approach, and just want to encourage everyone to be open to fix these issues. Work on these pitfalls, because we're all in this and we need to do it.
And when businesses start being able to come back, when we're shifting through the pandemic, I think everyone understands now that hybrid working is going to be a reality moving forward, pandemic or no pandemic, based on how successful a lot of organizations were going to remote work. But I think it comes down a lot to workers and management recognizing what works for you. If a home work life hybrid balance works, great, wonderful. If you are someone who needs to be in an office environment to dedicate, recognizing that. And for management to recognize, this person might be suffering from Zoom fatigue. Am I asking that? Am I noticing lack of productivity in that? And kind of helping people structure their day a little bit more to balance it out. It'll be with the hybrid workforce coming back, and that being the new way that we're going, it's going to take a lot of empathy and a lot of open conversation, more so on how people work individually than ever before. It's not going to be a come to the office, you work 8 to 5. It's going to truly be an individualized work plan moving forward.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about worker happiness and morale and culture, and those things are critically important. We have a culture czar at our office, and he did a Friday afternoon from 4 to 5 thing where he had everybody bring 4 things about themselves that no one will know, and one of them isn't true, and then we all had to go and guess which one wasn't true. So in mine, I actually did go to prom with the bass player from Metallica. So that stumped everybody. Nobody thought that was true, but that was true. So I do believe that culture and happiness is important. So is productivity. So if you are working remotely as a manager, I think what I want to introduce here is, and it depends on the kind of company. We luckily really committed about 1.5 years before all of this happened to it's project management software. So it's a repository for files. We can keep files in specific locations. The notebook belongs to the project. All of the team communication can go from that project, and all of the communication is logged via email. We can see everything, all the comments everyone has made, and then the tasks and all of those things are reassigned. For us, we're also, because we're a digital marketing company, we're a billable hour shop. So it also, kind of tracks how much time you've spent. And we're also EOS. So everybody has a number, and that's how Traction and EOS runs. That's the entrepreneurial operating system. So I think that if you have the kind of business that can benefit from some project management, at least some operational structure that you can do some reporting weekly, that might be really helpful. So we use a tool called Teamwork. Are there other things that you would offer up and suggest for productivity tools?
Yeah, there's a huge amount of them out there, and these things weren't developed for COVID or because we were in a remote workforce. They work just as well if people are gathered around in the same office space. And I applaud you, Lisa, for taking the steps to get that stuff up and running. I'm sure that it's made a huge impact on your organization, both before and during COVID. People that were prepared, that did have their information systems in the cloud and could just pick up their laptops and disperse. Those people, I think, had more success, and their workers are probably finding it, more success at home because there's not the commute. Some people in our organization had close to an hour to get here from wherever they were coming from. And so, that's gone away, and people are happier because of that. As far as systems go, I would advise this as people are looking at that. What you're using is not necessarily the right thing for everyone else. And we often see people that just grab a tool. They say they hear this thing and they go, oh yeah, I'm going to look at that. I want that. And then they try and make something fit for how they're doing business. The better way to do it is to and it's harder, it's absolutely harder, but sit down with a blank piece of paper and say, these are the things that I want. I want everybody to work from anywhere. I want those weekly reports. I want this. Categorize it, 2 pages, maybe 3 pages, and then it's easier once you've had that done. You can to go out and find the right tool, and once you've found the right tool, you can then say, look, we had success because we met those criteria.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say it's really important once you have that list of everything that you want, then reach out to an IT consultant and say, what is the tool that integrates what I currently have, that is a complete tool so I don't have this, we call it Frankenware in the marketing technology business. So I've got this piece here that I got to manage. I got to log in over here. I got to do these things. You just want everything to work properly. So reach out to your IT people, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here today. I do appreciate the time. It's been a great show, and we'll see you soon.
This is Denise Policella. Today on Focus on Legal, we're going to give you some legal tips for taking your business on the road. Now, if you're an essential business, you've probably already had to account for this kind of thing, but if you are thinking about reopening, it has to be on your mind. How to recapture that customer base and get some revenue in the door, and that will take adjusting your services to include delivery, curbside pickup, and mobile ordering. Here are some legal tips to make sure that you're mitigating the risk that comes along with those additional services. First and foremost, you must keep everybody protected against infection. So that means regularly reviewing the CDC guidelines at cdc.gov and also the Michigan executive orders at michigan.gov/coronavirus to make sure that you're doing everything legally required and possible to protect your customers and your employees against infection. Second, and very important, you must call your insurance agent and review your insurance policies. If you are doing a delivery service, it is unlikely that delivery is a covered product under your current general liability insurance. You need to make sure and add that, because you are going to bear the risk as the business owner if one of your employees is in a crash during working hours while they're delivering, and the likelihood of that is going to increase with more deliveries and the increased traffic on the road with businesses and society gradually reopening. If that is not possible, or if it's cost prohibitive, you will need to probably look into an independent delivery service. But for those employees who are going to do delivery themselves, you need to make sure and update your employee handbook and operations manuals to account for these new services and the policies and procedures that need to go along with them. It's important to clearly communicate these to your employees and to enforce them at all times, including potentially putting GPS on your delivery vehicles. If you're going to have a lot of delivery, to mitigate some of the cost, you may want to even consider purchasing a vehicle or two that the business owns and having your drivers use those vehicles during working hours, which will cut down on cost for you. Remember, stay safe and healthy, and always consult a qualified attorney.
Focus on Law, brought to you by Policella and Associates, PLLC.
Most business experts agree that working from home is here to stay. Even when the pandemic is over, businesses will have found that working from home is effective and it's a good option for their employees. If someone were to get sick today and they're all in the office, that person has to go home, and then those that were around them need to go home so that they can self-quarantine. So we need to plan for that. We need to be prepared. In order to do that, we need to consider a few things. One, we need to get our data in the cloud. If you are set up where you need to be in an office and all your people gathered around your technology in order to get your work done, you're doing it wrong. We need to get the data into the cloud. In some cases, that's not easy. Many cases, it's not easy because data is here and it's over there and lots of different systems. But from a planning perspective, we need to plan and move in that direction. Secondly, we need to get workers with devices so that they can work from anywhere. And that generally means a laptop or a tablet device of some sort with external monitors so that you're not staring at a little screen, one monitor or two, perhaps a docking station so that you can connect the monitors to the laptop, an external keyboard, portable mouse, an environment where people can be productive. And if they need to pick up that stuff and take it home, or be at home and bring it to the office, that works too. In some cases, where in the future where we'll have people working at both home and in the office, the setup in the office can be monitors with a dock, and at home monitors with a dock, and they're simply picking up their laptop or tablet and moving it from one location to the next. And the third thing that we need to consider is verbal communications. If you're in an environment where you're paying for dial tone, in other words, traditional phone circuits that are coming into a building, connecting to a big box on the wall that is your phone system, that is old school technology and it needs to be upgraded. We need you to move into an environment where your voice communications are in the cloud so that voice can come through the computer, it can come through a device, it can come through a mobile handheld device, and you can communicate anywhere using that phone number without being tied down to a desk in these traditional phone lines. So these plans need to be made now because we are in this for a long haul. Data in the cloud, proper equipment for employees, and proper voice communication that can be used anywhere.
Focus on Tech, brought to you by Providence, making technology easier.
The executive producers of Focus on Business are looking for your stories. Stories from owners of established businesses that have come through amazing adversity, bucked the odds, found the next big thing. If you have a story, we want to hear from you. Go to our website and maybe we'll invite you onto the show.
Focus on Business, a show featuring small business owners and experts in the field to inform and help educate. Dedicated to small businesses looking to improve and grow in today's world.
Don't let technology challenges prevent your business from growing. I'm Jeff Detloff from Providence Consulting, where we make tech easy. Please join me each week during Focus on Business for a fresh look at using modern technologies to power your business success.
Helping you focus on business. Sundays at 11:30 a.m.